Last week, the state of Georgia was called for Joe Biden after he narrowly received more votes than Donald Trump. It's actually kind of a surprising result, as it's been a long time since Georgia went blue. Since then, of course, Donald Trump, since the margin was so close, demanded a recount. Okay. Now, part of his, of course, allegation is that there's massive voter fraud. There was voting machines that were alleged to have been rigged to cast votes for Biden instead of Trump, and all sorts of unfounded conspiracies, which now has put the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensberger, in the crosshairs of conservatives. Now, again, this guy is a Republican. According to the Washington Post, Raffensberger said on Monday that he has come under increasing pressure in recent days from fellow Republicans, including Senator Lindsey Graham, who said he questioned the validity of legally cast absentee ballots. Now, the atmosphere, he said, has grown so contentious that he and his wife had been receiving death threats from Republicans, including a text to him that read, quote, "You better not botch this recount. Your life depends on it." Look, if that's not like a threat, I don't know what is. It's a veiled threat, but it's a threat. Now, Raffensperger, as they said, he's a Republican, but he's apparently fed up with people of his own party, again, continuing with these conspiracy theories. Quote, "Other than getting you angry, it's also very disillusioning, particularly when it comes to people from people on my side of the aisle." So now one person, of course, is another congressman. I'll get to that. But here's what he said. He said, "Everybody that is working on this needs to elevate their speech. We need to be thoughtful and careful about what we say." Now, I wonder if that's because there's an army of conspiracy-minded Republican voters who've been radicalized into believing that the results of this election are illegitimate. Gee, I wonder where they would get that idea. Oh, right. Fox News, conservative media, OANN, all these different outlets that basically come up with unfounded conspiracy theories. Oh, they're changing the votes. Okay, where's your evidence? Oh, we don't have it. Again, if they had evidence, they would have presented it in court already. They haven't. And so you guys remember the commercial for Wendy's, like, where's the beef? Well, they have no beef. It's missing the beef. It's not there. It doesn't exist. Okay. And I'm sorry, but if you present like an article from Breitbart or Newsmax, that's not evidence. That is conjecture. That's opinion, and is not backed up by actual, data, information, evidence. And you kind of need that because you're not actually supposed to lie under oath. And that's the other thing too. And so now these same, again, Republican voters are threatening politicians, not necessarily always in a physical way, obviously, although we have seen some of that, but also they threaten power. And so they threaten, okay, well, if you don't go along with our conspiracies, well, then we're going to kick you out. We're going to vote for QAnon members. And they have. We're going to vote in Republican primaries to replace you with people who do spread these conspiracy theories. And so the one thing that Republican politicians care most about is keeping their own power. And that's what they do. And so Republican politicians are, and this is what's different from Republican politicians versus Democratic politicians. Republican politicians are deathly afraid of their base. I mean, because their base, again, does primary challenges and kicks them out of power. They don't do, as far as I know, at least to the extent of Democrats, the lesser of two evils, which, again, on the Democratic side, this entire election was, well, Joe Biden, like, he's the lesser of two evils, and he's not going to be as bad as Donald Trump, and I made that argument. And I stand by that argument. I think he is a lesser of evil compared to Trump, but he's not somebody that I would like to see, I'd like to have seen in the primary, for example, take on Donald Trump. I would have liked to have seen Bernie Sanders or progressive, somebody who is far more progressive, far to the left than Joe Biden is. That said, we had this lesser of two evils thing. And so Republicans, they look at the more evil and they're like, that's my guy. Yes, we vote for more evil. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, though, they do choose people who are more aligned to them. And there's no doubt right now that the Republican Party is incredibly far right. They're off the scale at this point. And so, and it's, again, a result of Republican voters being steeped in this misinformation, disinformation, conspiracy theories, and outright hatred. And so there are people that out there that don't believe in facts anymore. And those facts that they don't believe in run contrary to what they hear in conservative media, which is, again, Democrats are evil pedophiles that murder babies and want to destroy America. That's what you hear constantly from right-wing media. And so they reflect that. And so that's why Republicans vote for QAnon and why bootlickers like Lindsey Graham have decided to deep throat Trump's boot. They just love it because Donald Trump feeds into conspiracy theories as well, which has, again, some Republicans that are the establishment Republicans deeply uncomfortable because these establishment Republicans don't necessarily want to go down that rabbit hole. They just want the donations. They just want, like, they want the donors to continue to fund them. Like, yes, give my campaign millions of dollars so that I can continue to sit in my comfortable seat and not really do anything, cut taxes for myself and my donors, and then we're all happy. Oh, but now you people from the far right, well, now you're going to come in with your conspiracy theories, your QAnon, your garbage. Oh, great. What am I supposed to do? Well, Lindsey Graham's figured it out. He's like, yeah, yes, sir. Oh, yeah, totally. I'm going to totally align myself with Donald Trump, 99%. And then, I'll try to play like, oh, well, yeah, we should criticize Trump on this very specific thing, but otherwise, Trump is great. He's daddy. So there's that. But again, these Republicans who do see what's going on and are uncomfortable with it, well, they see what's going on with their own colleagues and they're scared shitless of their own base. And that's why they don't actually speak out. A lot of them have not. And even some of them, like Doug Collins, for example, has spoke out against the more moderate Republicans in this respect. In fact, Collins was called by Raffensberger a quote, liar and charlatan. So Raffensperger's like, Doug Collins of Georgia, you're a liar, you're a charlatan. And Collins, as a result, had actually questioned Raffensperger's handle of the vote and accused him of capitulating to Democrats by not backing allegations of voter fraud more strongly. Why? Well, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. That's the thing. If they had it, they would present it, but they don't. They don't. Look, hearsay and deceptively edited YouTube videos from Project Veritas are not evidence. This organization, look, everything that they uncover is always quickly debunked by actual journalists. And yet Republicans, the voters, don't want to believe them because, well, their feelings. Well, our feelings are more important than facts. And that's it. Our feelings is that, we like Donald Trump. And so it is our feeling that he won, but he got less votes. Not only did he get 5 million less votes in the popular vote, but he also, in a lot of states, there were narrow wins, which means the electoral college votes are also going to Joe Biden. And so, yeah, it was a close race. It was far closer than it should have been. It should have been a blowout, but it wasn't. And then, of course, you also have the Senate, which is hanging in the balance. You had losses for Democrats in the House. It really was it was a disaster on Election Day for Democrats. And yet, people with the smooth brains, man, they're out there saying, oh, it's rigged. It's rigged. Well, they did a real shitty job at rigging it. I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyway, as I said, as far as Georgia was super, super close, but ultimately went to Biden, and it was a fair election. The recount, by the way, Raffensberger says in the interview, will affirm the results of the initial count. He said the hand-counted audit that began last week will also prove the accuracy of the Dominion machines, which are, of course, being targeted by conservatives right now as like, oh, these machines, they got ties to Venezuela. Did you know that? No, because it's not true. And some counties have already reported that their hand recounts have exactly matched the machine tallies previously reported. Now, there was one mistake that they did find. Now, I'm going to leave it to you to figure out if it's malicious, but I don't believe so. Election officials in one county, Floyd, had discovered a flash drive that was not included in the initial tally. It's about 2,600 votes. Interesting. So now, apparently, there was a failure to upload them from a memory stick. Those votes, I think some of which would go to Trump, some would go to, of course, to Biden. I don't know the percentage of, but even if, for example, they all went to Trump, all 2,600, right? Well, that's not going to switch the election. That's not going to make it so that Trump pulls out a win in Georgia and overturn the results. Biden is up by over 14,000 votes. It's just math. So, and again, there's no real evidence here of fraud or malicious intent that I can see, but it did happen. And so, obviously, I'm going to chalk it up to human error, right? So that said, Raffensberger was not done going after Collins. Here's what he said on this. I'm an engineer. We look at numbers. We look at hard data. I can't help it that a failed candidate like Collins is running around lying to everyone. He's a liar. I love Republican on Republican crime in the morning. Love it. A spokeswoman for Collins replied to a request for comment by linking to a tweet that Collins sent on Monday, in which he described Raffensperger's incompetence as Secretary of State. Okay. And in the interview, by the way, going back to Lindsey Graham, now Raffensberger said he spoke on Friday to Graham, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, who has talked about, of course, Donald Trump's unfounded claims about irregularity. In their conversation, Graham had questioned Raffensperger about the state's signature matching law and whether or not political bias could have prompted poll workers to accept ballots with so-called non-matching signatures. According to Raffensperger, Graham also asked whether Raffensperger had the power to toss all mail-in ballots in counties that have found to have higher rates of non-matching signatures, Raffensperger had said. So now, look, he was kind of stunned. Like, why is Lindsey Graham calling me? Why is Lindsey Graham suggesting that I find a way to toss legal ballots? Absent court intervention, Raffensperger does not have the power to do what Graham says because those counties administer elections in Georgia. But why, then, is Lindsey Graham making these calls, is asking him to do this? In an interview on Capitol Hill, before that, Raffensperger said about that, it sure looked like he was wanting to go down that road. Now, Graham responded and said, well, you know what? I deny that. That characterization is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Graham said he contacted Raffensperger on his own and was not asked to do so by Donald Trump. Okay, wait a minute. That's a bit of a tell. That's really strange. What did somebody accuse Donald Trump of calling and asking Lindsey Graham? Is that what Raffensperger said? Like, did Donald Trump call you and ask you to do that? What do you mean? Like, if you bring it up unprompted, which is what this suggests, then that would be odd. Like, wait, who got Donald Trump involved? What did he actually do that now? Wait, what are we doing? What are you talking about, dude? Why is the senator from South Carolina, by the way, calling the Secretary of State of Georgia anyway? Why? No, it's definitely Trump bootlicking for sure. But I don't know if Donald Trump actually ordered it or not. I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to please daddy. I don't know. But one thing is clear. If you are a Republican that decides to break from Trump and actually embrace reality and sticks to facts and logic and reason, you're going to get canceled by the MAGA mob. And that's what this is about. What, you think cancel culture is only reserved for what? People on the left? No, you're kidding me, right? No. Republicans are some of the biggest purveyors of cancel culture. They cancel people all the time. Ironically, Donald Trump is hugely into cancel culture. I mean, he's got Republicans to cancel John Bolton, John Kasich, and basically anyone else that doesn't buy into the conspiracies about the election. If you actually believe in facts and logic and math, and you don't, and you say, hey, wait a minute, I don't see any evidence of massive voter fraud, then you will be canceled by the MAGA mob. And that's it. And this, again, Republican Secretary of State is getting into fights with former congressmen and also getting death threats from MAGA. And other Republicans, they'll see this message and they'll get it. And they'll either do one of two things, right? They'll side with, facts and logic, which I think is rare, but some will. Or the rest will follow Donald Trump off a cliff, lest they be canceled by the base. Because again, that's what they're really afraid of. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.